Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Checkpoint on Campus. Your host Norris Howard here, being joined by a very special guest. This man is a champion, the NBA 2K champion for the HBCU Homecoming Classic, the first for esports of its kind. Your inaugural champion. We are joined by Royce Payne, coming from Morehouse College, so a Morehouse man on the show. How are you feeling about this big win, man?
It feels great. I really love the opportunity to be able to play in the tournament first and foremost, and for something like this to be starting up, especially for HBCUs in our community. I think it's really important that we keep stuff up like this so those who come behind us don't even have to worry about, we have to create something because it's already created. You know, they can just keep it going and hopefully just continue to grow and develop.
Yeah, and you know, speaking about the Esports Homecoming Classic, you know, this was done to make it feel as much like an actual homecoming as humanly possible. Obviously, with COVID, you guys were not in person; everything was done remotely. But over the course of the tournament, you guys played multiple matches. There was even Soldier Boy with a halftime show. It was crazy. It felt like I was in Atlanta. Like, it felt like, you know, a real homecoming in many senses. You know, understanding the history behind what homecoming means. Obviously, you go to Morehouse, HBCU, one of the most well-known. Understanding what homecoming means to historically black colleges and universities. What was it like to participate in the first esports version of a homecoming classic?
Honestly, it made me feel like we should incorporate esports into real homecoming. The games were very exciting. I know real sports such as football, well, not real sports, but in-person sports, but those are very fun to watch. But I thought the games that we played were actually pretty close, pretty tight, some of them. They were really fun to enjoy. Homecoming is a huge thing across every HBCU campus, so to be able to even enjoy a halftime show with all of those different artists. I was up out of my seat the entire time just dancing. So I felt like I was actually at homecoming. It was really fun.
Yeah, and I mean, that was part of the atmosphere, you know, that was created throughout the entire event. But I want to talk a little bit about yourself in terms of the games and matches that you had to play. Obviously, it's not ideal to have to play online. You want to be in a LAN environment if humanly possible, but this was all online. And to see that, you know, there weren't too many issues, how happy were you that everything could go off with it without a hitch, and the matches could be played, and everybody could get in and you know, have the matches?
So it was really great, to be honest with you. The only problem I had was a little connection spike here and there, but other than that, it was quick, easy. The games were very fun. I had great competitors. I played Trolls in the championship, and man, I know he can give somebody a run for his money. He was a great player, and yeah, it was really fun.
Yeah, and I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that because you are the champion of the PlayStation bracket for NBA 2K. You mentioned Trolls. You went up against, coming from the University of the Virgin Islands. Very great game, super entertaining game. You came out on top. How were you able to eventually pull out that win? Talk to us a little bit about the process and the strategy that went into that game.
So I know in 2K, it can get very back and forth with all the fast breaks and stuff like that, turnovers. So I really like to slow the game down and keep it to my pace more than anything. Kind of like how LeBron plays in real life. So I used the Lakers and just slowed the game down, made sure that my bigs were protecting the basket, getting rebounds, getting stops here and there, making sure that Steph Curry didn't catch up. Well, he used the Warriors to make sure that Steph didn't catch too much heat, and Clay and all of them. So it was very fun to be able to play. Yeah. He was a very tough competitor.
Yeah, and I definitely wanted to say that you rebounded very well and you protected the rim very well. And you know, in esports, you know, versions of traditional sports, oftentimes there is a want and a desire to want to just go for the fast breaks, the quick plays, put up as many points as possible. Not just in 2K, but also in Madden and FIFA, in any digital version of a traditional sport. And to see the strategy that you took kind of reminded me of a Madden tournament that went on, the Madden Bowl, where the champion there won without throwing the ball. And in your case, here's a guy playing a video game up against the Warriors, who we know is about, trying to shoot the blood out the ball, and you just slowed it down, played to your bigs, and played a methodical game. It's really, really interesting and awesome to see that kind of strategy brought to esports, because we don't see it a lot. And so how confident were you going in as the game began to unfold in your favor? Did you grow more confident, or were you kind of on the edge of your seat the whole time?
In the video, it made it look like I was really relaxed, but really I wasn't. I started to make adjustments around the second quarter, just to make sure that Steph and Clay didn't catch heat. I had to put my tight defenders on them. I actually put LeBron at the 1, just because you can't shoot over 6'9". So
right. I remember seeing that. I remember seeing. I was like, wait a minute, he got LeBron checking Steph. Okay, that's smart.
Exactly. So just making sure that I get as many defensive stops as possible. I'm a really defensive-oriented minded player, so I try to make sure that defense is my top priority when playing. I know a lot of people try to generate as much offense as they can, but if your opponent stopping you every possession, then what offense can you really get off?
That's right. See, words from the wise Royce Payne: defense wins championships, as he is proven at the HBCU Esports Homecoming Classic. Now, the last thing I want to ask you is, you mentioned that you want to see things like this continue. Eventually, everybody will be back to campus. Schools will be, somewhat returning back to normal. Do you see esports becoming a major part of homecoming in the future? Because to me, with a lot of sports programs taking up a lot of money and getting a lot of eyeballs for some of these schools, esports may have a tendency to get left behind. Do you think that with events like this, that HBCUs will be more willing to include esports?
Really hope so, to be honest with you. We can see that a lot of D1 athletes end up going to D1 schools, so it's very hard for our schools to continue to have as many top tier athletes as some of the bigger schools. But we still have gamers everywhere. Gamers will be everywhere. So if you can really buy into that, it could really turn out well for you. I know a lot of schools, a lot of PWIs have a lot of gaming communities and stuff like that, and they're able to create sponsorships and get all the money for it. So if HBCUs could take on that dynamic as well, I think it'll be very beneficial for them.
Well, you heard it from a champion, everybody, Royce Payne. Now, where can everybody find you on social medias if they want to get in contact with you, or maybe even play you a little bit?
So my Instagram is Royce that dude, RoyceThaDude, and my Twitter is at Royce_Payne, Payne.
All right, thank you so much, Royce, for joining us, the grand champion for 2K21 at the HBCU Esports Homecoming Classic. Wear that with a badge of pride, because you are the first among many.